All right. All right. That sounds good. I'm just gonna grab my. Gotta. Yep, I want to share that one. Hopefully. Okay, good. Um, yeah, so I say I wanted this just to be a really brief meeting, kind of kick the tires there, make sure kind of remember how to use Teams and get back onto these calls as we saw already with some name changes from last season. So just a quick outline. We'll quickly review goals of the Pathfinder program, and then also kind of the procedures we'll follow. Um, Brief winter outlook, and then we'll jump into a section I'm calling "What's New with You." So what's changed in the off season? So Joe's kind of hinted at a couple of things there that's different for new for MnDOT. And when we get to that section, that's where we'll talk more about NWS chat. So I have a little section for that. But just a quick reminder, and I am recording this. We'll see if it works, but hopefully it does, and then I'll distribute that recording that you can share with your office staff after this. But remember just the purpose of Pathfinder is a unified and consistent messaging between the DOT, private sector, which is now DTN, and weather service, and also I suppose we could throw in there state patrol when they come in. But the key thing there is it's about messaging, is what kind of really stressed last year, and we're going to continue to stress this year is what are we messaging. So the goal is that if you're driving from Chicago to Bismarck and you got to go through Minnesota and you see snow in the forecast, the goal is that it doesn't matter if you try to get information from the DOT, NWS, somewhere else, you're hopefully going to hear the same information. Um, and the communication with Pathfinder is going to be the same as well. NWS chat will continue to be a big, we'll continue to leverage that. And then these video briefings as well will be used throughout the time. Like I say, NWS chat, the primary Pathfinder communication will again happen on NWS chat. Again, we'll talk more about what's changed, what's new with you about Chat 2.0. But the key one is that state-mn Pathfinder is a private room, but that's where the Minnesota Pathfinder lives now within NWS chat, and you can just see I grabbed a screen capture when Duluth and Crystal were happening to talking about a little bit of precip they had up there a few days ago. Um, on chat, NWS will tend to provide weather updates and expectations, kind of for minor events via chat. And I know oftentimes I'll see someone from Rob's group there and DTN will kind of come in if they see something as well to add about potential impacts in terms of like how roadways might behave to a little inch and a half of snow or whatever it happens to be. But again, that's chat will be our primary use for coordinating things, and then MnDOT, as we heard Alex earlier say, he'll kind of help initiate Pathfinder calls. The idea there is, anytime there's a blizzard, high-end winter storm warning, so heavier snows or might hit a. We don't have anything on Wednesday, but if Wednesday had accumulating snow on a busy travel day, we may do something there, and ice storms as well. But again, that's more or less what we've done the past couple of years for when the Pathfinder call would be initiated. And again, any one of the NWS offices could lead the NWS portion depending on where that winter storm is. If it's something that's really impacting the Red River Valley, then we'll have obviously Grand Forks kind of lead that call. And as I mentioned, don't forget the purpose of Pathfinder is about the message. So what do we want a traveler in Minnesota? What do we want them to hear and process when they see a winter forecast, potential winter forecast within with that could impact their travels across the state. So like I mentioned, we'll do a brief winter outlook. The key word there, it's a strong El Nino is already in place and is expected to be in place. Where the index we use to measure the strength of the El Nino is water temperatures roughly in the central tropical Pacific, and it looks like at least based on that index, the El Nino we're expecting this winter should rival 82, 83, 97, 98, and 15, 16 as one of those are the kind of the big El Ninos we've seen recently. So um, it'll be a big player as we go through the winter and what we're expecting with our winter. Um, I can say no two El Ninos are alike, but I just kind of a nice image that shows past El Ninos on the left and temperature departure. And those red boxes I just put around the winters that are 1980 and later, because let's face it, we haven't really experienced winters like we saw in the 70s or 50s or 30s or anything like that since about 1980. So 1980 is kind of a good kind of the modern climate threshold. And so you look at those red boxes and you see those red boxes across the northern U.S. are full of nice, warm orange and red colors. Um, and really the key message that you put out there, and you look at those, I mentioned those three big ones are right up top. So there's that 97, 82, 83, 97, 98, and that 15, 16. Those other three strong El Ninos. We're all pretty warm up here, mild in Minnesota. And that's really the key takeaway. With an El Nino, it really favors mild winter temperatures. Still gets cold, it's Minnesota, but certainly when you average it out over the whole 3 month or 4 month period, you kind of tend to fall into the above normal temperature category. Um, as for snowfall, as I like to say, snow lovers look away. The El Nino has a pretty strong signal, basically from Minnesota and Iowa all the way to New England. That's what this map, just moderate to strong El Ninos, just shows that uh, low snowfall signal, like I say, from Minnesota and Iowa all the way to New England when you get into these El Nino winters. I will say less snow does not mean drier than normal. It just means less snow. And so El Ninos often see precipitation types other than snow. um, and really the big drop in snowfall comes from the lack of those clipper type systems. So those we tend to not get as many of those kind of, as I call them, nickel and dimers, where it's 1, 2, 3 inches of snow and they're gone, and then 36 hours later we do it again, and then 36 hours later we do it again. So we tend to not get into those types of weather patterns as much when we get to the El Nino. And really what it comes down to is the subtropical jet, the southern stream, tends to take over when you get an El Nino. So it's the active storm track tends to be off to our south. And then the northern stream is weaker and displaced to the north. And that northern stream is really what controls the Arctic air. And with a weaker and farther north northern stream, you tend to not get as much Arctic air intrusions into southern Canada and the northern U.S. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what's going on as to why we've been talking about El Nino, warmer, less snow, it kind of all follows in for just how the jet stream likes to set up based on where convection is located in the tropical Pacific. So briefly, look at Climate Prediction Center outlooks. Again, we favor above normal temperatures for December, January, February, maybe drier than normal up along the international border. No strong signal for precip for most of the state. Precip's a tough one to kind of, in Minnesota, there's not a strong signal with El Nino and precip. I gotta say, we tend to see less snow, but we also have potential to see winter rains, we usually don't see rain in winter, so when you do see rain in winter, that tends to produce quite a bit of precipitation compared to normal. And so you can quickly bust above normal precip with a couple of good rain events. But that's that. And if you even go out and do February, March, April, so the tail end of the winter, and you kind of see that same pattern is still in place with the mild conditions. So as I was talking with Joe before you all showed up, we had to set an over-under for number of Pathfinder calls this year. So I set the number at 6.5. I don't know if this will work out, but 6.5 Pathfinder calls, i.e., in all likelihood, it should be a quieter winter, especially than compared to what we saw last year. So any questions with that? That was kind of a quick hand wave. But to get us on to the last section, which is, like I say, is the what's new with you. So if we're ready for that, I'll just jump into the Weather Service, and I'll have my couple of things I saw in the Weather Service, folks. If you have anything you want to add on top of that, feel free to jump in here after my couple of slides. Joe's going with the under. Under 6.5. All right. So we kind of talked about this already with the NWS. Probably the big change that happened since last winter is we went to NWS Chat 2.0. which is run off of a kind of Slack-based software. So you're opening Slack to get into it. You can run it on a web browser or via a desktop application. Um, the nice thing about this allows a user to post more than just text. So I went back and found where Kevin Scow down there in La Crosse had a picture there of potential snowfall at the end of October, which we ended up seeing. Um, but yeah, so not only us can we put something, videos or pictures up there, but MnDOT, DTN, our state patrol, whoever it happens to be, you can do more than text, and we do encourage you to use more than text. Another thing I'd like to ask, especially for the uh, MnDOT folks, is if you see a post, give it a reaction. So you don't have to say anything to say, hey, sounds good or something like that. If you scroll your mouse over the text, you'll see a little window pop up to the right above it. It looks like that, where there's at least for me, when I took a screen capture, I had eyeballs, check mark, thumbs up. You see something, you put a thumbs up. From the Weather Service forecaster perspective, you might be sitting here typing something at 3:30 in the morning, wondering if anybody's ever going to see it. So seeing MnDOT District 6 gives it a thumbs up, kind of is like, okay, this is going somewhere. So it makes the forecaster feel like this is a worthwhile endeavor, and you can do whatever you want on the reaction. So Kevin put something in there about snow in October, and if you were like, it's not supposed to snow in October, by all means throw the angry face in there to that reaction. But yeah, like I say, those reactions help us at least know that it's being seen. As I mentioned earlier, our Pathfinder room is State MN Pathfinder. It's private. I think most people have gotten into it, but if anybody still needs to, just send a request to us. I believe our office is the one that kind of controls the keys to the gate of Minnesota Pathfinder. So one of us will allow a MnDOT, DTN, or whomever into the State Pathfinder chat room if they still need it. And of course, don't forget to join the local chat room, the chat room of your local office. So I have an example there what the Sioux Falls looks like. For us, it's Twin Cities, Minnesota, and then MN. It gets you to the Twin Cities one. But yeah, so kind of follow the, like I say, Pathfinder in your local office, and give anything in there from us or DTN, whatever, a little thumbs up, a like to let us know you saw it, and that would be appreciated there. Um, Another thing that's new for the Weather Service, I call it new-ish, is we've changed our winter storm criteria over the summer. It doesn't really change anything. Much of the state is still 6 inches or more for snowfall to be a winter storm warning, with 7 inches up there along the North Shore. The big thing that's changed is we used to, I don't know if anybody realized outside of the Weather Service, it used to be 6 inches in 12 or 8 and 24. That's gone. It's just 6 inches or 7 inches up on the North Shore, and the warning should not exceed 48 hours. So there's bigger changes elsewhere in the country, but for us, like I say, it is a change, but that's why I say it's kind of new-ish. It's not a big change from how we've done things in the past. Other than that, 6 and 12, 8 and 24 is gone. It's just 6 or 7 if you're on the North Shore. And all this end with this is still in the pipeline, which is hazard simplification. I think the last I saw is as early as 2025. The Weather Service plans to phase out the advisory terminology, so that would include winter weather advisory would go away. It'd be replaced by a plain language weather statement. I'll share my slides with everybody, but that link there is to where more information on that, and I think there's areas where you can provide some feedback to that if you think that sounds like a horrible idea or a great idea. I don't want to bias you one way or the other, but within the next, like I said, within the next couple of years, we might very well see the winter weather advisory term go away. But with that, I think that's all I had for the what's new with the NWS. I don't know if anybody else, Linda or any from Duluth, La Crosse, Sioux Falls, have anything to add to the what's new with the NWS. I'm not hearing anything. So, yeah, we'll change it up since we waited to introduce Pinard at the end. We'll go to Pinard next. Any updates from DTN for what's new for DTN? Oh yeah. No, I've seen that plenty of times. Okay. Okay. And those quickly, just Joe, the WE or the iPause WEA messages for closing the roads. I know you're probably not the expert on that one, but is that something the MnDOT in well, whatever community north of St. Paul your your big shop is in, but that something they at the dispatch there in St. Paul would create those? Yeah, there we go. No. Yeah, but something we'll keep in mind as Pathfinder going forward. If certainly you need any assistance with messaging that, or you plan to do that, certainly let us know, and we'll help you be a force multiplier to help push that message out as far as we can as well. So sounds good. It sounds like it's you've got polygons essentially drawn right along the roads. So anybody on the road or that enters that road surface would get the message, but it's not something where if you live 10 miles from I-94 in central Stearns County, you're not going to get the you're not going to get the closure statement. You got to be right close to the roadway in order to get that. So, Yeah, that's good. I don't know if anybody has any other questions, any other thoughts. Linda does. Yep. Go ahead, Linda. Yeah. Logo. All right. Six. I like the under two, Joe. Oh, okay, yeah. I hope you're wrong. I don't want to deal with it.